And there's Chris.
Oh, hello. I regret meeting you under such compromising circumstances. At least we both made it back unscathed. Incidentally, would you care to learn any sorceries? You're clearly talented, and besides, I owe you. Of course, we will require some materials, but I'm happy to teach you some elementary spells. Are you interested?
Yes, I am, but I need to answer to somebody else first. You remember that I told you I played Sekiro for the first time? Which you didn't, by the way. You said that you played your first From Software Souls-like. You didn't say which, and then you just left. You didn't say what it was, though. Then you said something, but I didn't actually hear what you said, because I fell asleep 30 seconds later. Wow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being completely fucking checked out when you're watching some... Well, I guess not so random streamer, because you've been here long enough time, but, you know. Some people nowadays, by the way, when they get out of work, or, you know, when they're done like, you know, school or something, they come out of fucking, what's it now? They come out of, like, their work commute, come back home, eat something, and then they, you know, they're like, well, I'm just gonna use the free time that I have right now for the rest of the evening. I'm just gonna, you know, play some game for, like, a couple hours. They start the game, and they're like... Yeah. That's just... I love when that happens.
Splendid. Very well. I am pleased to have a chance to give something back. Well then, let's get started straight away.
There's no shame in not having enough energy to be able to play something after your day's over. Seems to happen more easily as we age. Great Soul Arrow. Okay, this one we definitely need. Fall Control is also... How is this only 1.5k? I think I get this as a normal drop at some point. Also, Sekiro. What do you want to say about Sekiro? I was on my phone and just lost consciousness. Yeah. The oral decoy. I think there was some kind of interaction. Oh, this magic weapon. He's got magic weapon. I say it's big? Yes, it is. Sekiro is my second most favorite game that I have ever played in my life. It is sharing the second best game slot, if not the best really, because the top 4 games that I have on my favorite games list that I have ever played, that you can also find under the stream as well, you know, it's very hard to separate the 4, to be honest. It's Bloodborne is my favorite. I have rated it as my favorite. And then after that, it's Sekiro. And in Sekiro slot, it's also basically God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. And then on 4th slot, or I guess 3rd slot, separating itself from the quality of Sekiro and God of War, would be Nier Automata. Yeah. Those 4 are very difficult for me to separate on my top 4. But I do believe that Bloodborne is like a notch higher than any of the other 4. Or 3, I guess, in comparison. But yeah, if you haven't played Bloodborne, that's something you need to play. If you like Sekiro, which is obviously very high likelihood, then, you know, buying a PlayStation for the single-handed purpose of playing Bloodborne is worth it. And I wouldn't recommend using like the modded version on PC, because you don't get everything with that. Though, like, the annoying thing with Bloodborne is that it's there's a lot of things that you can't really experience in Bloodborne unless you have like PSN connection also at the same time. The PlayStation Network connectivity allows you to join other people's chalices in Bloodborne, and chalices in Bloodborne, they are kind of like randomly generated like catacomb or tomb content, dungeon content. Yeah, that's the word. But that randomly generated dungeon content contains some of the best boss and beast designs in any game ever. And a lot of people just don't even play the chalices in Bloodborne, which is a big shame. But if you do play Bloodborne, then that PSN connection allows you to freely join other person's chalice glyphs, and it does not cost you any like... it doesn't cost you any blood echoes, which is basically souls, or I guess... what was the currency item in Sekiro? Well, it's basically kind of like the same thing with what you do with the item. but it doesn't cost you any of the game's like currency, it doesn't cost you any materials to create a new chalice, so a new like randomly generated chance or an architecture of a dungeon that you can like generate in the game, because you can just freely join other people's glyphs that have already been discovered. Yeah, sen is what the currency in Sekiro is, yeah. But yeah, you can basically just join other people's glyphs and you don't have to pay any like material cost or any like blood echo cost inside the game when you create a chalice yourself. So it's very good for especially when you're farming like late game materials and optimizing your build. It is highly recommended to have a PlayStation Network connection in in Bloodborne when you play it. So that's an annoying thing about Bloodborne. But if you play Bloodborne on PC, well, you don't have that at all. If you play the modded or the cracked version of Bloodborne on PC, you just have to play offline only, basically. And you don't have any access to like, other person's glyphs, so you will have to manually create every chalice that you play, which is significantly slower progress and variety in terms of, what you're able to farm at the same time, what dungeons you're able to like go in like at the same time, like whenever you feel like, it's much more restrictive and much more slower than it should be. But it is just kind of a Bloodborne thing, but fucking PSN does suck, and its price also has risen, so there's also that, obviously, like everything else. So that's also not very fun. Also, Greek's shop here is quite fucking 20,000! Dude.
Goodbye then.
You are crazy. 20,000. Say what now? I don't have enough intelligence level even for... Fuck. Wow. Yeah, we need to farm a lot of souls. This normal cost of all of this is so much.
Did you see the 3 young clerics headed for the catacombs to seek kindling? Kindling is the art of feeding bonfires. The poor young girl sent down into a tomb. What a terrible mission she is burdened with.
Reya of Karim, was it?
Oh, hello. Myself. I'm fine. Let's get started straight away.
I wanted your shop open actually, but thank you, I guess. Great Soul Arrow, I already have these, but I think there might be some... Like, From Software likes to do this thing where if you buy the entire shop from a character, they might give you something special. So that's also always something to keep your mind, I suppose, or keep it in your mind. I don't get that people... Wait, what? I don't get the people that cheese some of the bosses. Oh, in Sekiro? Or just generally speaking? If it's in Sekiro, then I can give you some insight for that.
Goodbye.
I think I'm actually gonna get the... I'm gonna get the Bellowing Ring, actually. I think that's gonna do more for me right now. If I can actually have enough, that's the thing. Shit. It's not enough. Everything, basically? Well, you see, many people don't like the... I don't get why would you do that in Sekiro either. Well, you see, the reason as to why people cheese bosses is because they don't want to learn the bosses. They want basically to have as easy and as nice time when they play a video game, generally speaking, as they can. So even games that are meant to be hard, they make them as easy as possible for them, so that they can have as little resistance as possible when they play the game. Because there's a lot of people and a lot of like fun for a lot of people in just that when they play a game. Is to have like the game not be insanely stressful and demanding, even if the game actually normally is like that. Because it feels like it's like inclusive for them, even though it's not supposed to be like inclusive for them. So like if you don't like games that are supposed to be challenging, then why do you play games that are challenging? well, there might be some other aspects as to what they like about those games, but they don't want to feel, you know, the challenge to be as oppressive and infuriating as, you know, every other person has to feel momentarily when they learn something new. So they themselves just kind of, you know, they find a way to like kind of force through those challenges so that they can not take, or they don't have to take the time to learn something that, you know, would make them uncomfortable, or like take a lot of their time off, for example, when they would want to just kind of clock out and just enjoy your game and not think a whole lot. That would be one reason, for example. People not wanting to beat Demon of Hatred properly? I mean, that's not a surprise whatsoever. But like, here's the thing that really annoyed me back in the day with like, you know, every like Souls-like game when I was watching somebody else play. Like, I used to be a very strong purist, well, if that's a word for like, you know, From Software Souls-like games and just Souls-like games in general. I hated, like, incessantly whenever somebody was using some kind of cheap trick or some kind of cheesy way to like beat something. It's just like there's this kind of like solidarity, I guess we can say, where you have like this group of people or this entire like community that feels somewhat that they have gone through like this similar experience when they play a game, and there's this kind of like common like unity, I guess, in like the suffering or this hardship that this community has gone through to be able to get to the point in the game to actually enjoy the game that they have actually gotten to over time by just learning the game and, you know, going through all of the pain points and, you know, all of that trouble to become good at the game and actually succeed. But when you see people that are cheesing like bosses and encounters that are meant to be difficult and meant to force the player to actually learn and go through like some of that struggle that you went through, when they skip that, it just makes you like, or it still makes me pissed off. It does. But nowadays, I just don't really care. Because nowadays when I look at somebody like play these games, I'm like, you know, like if somebody's like look at me, I finally beat like Melania on my first playthrough. I'm like, well, they probably cheesed it some way. Maybe they used like summons, maybe they used axe weapon, axe spell, maybe they used axe build. You know, like, there's so many things that you can do to like cheese these games that whenever somebody just as a baseline says something that they beat at something or accomplished something, I don't think as a cool thing. I think more pessimistically nowadays, and I always think how many and what things they used to make the challenge easy for themselves. That's like where I usually start nowadays. And then if they prove themselves, or if I know the person enough to be able to tell that they did not cheese anything like that, then I'm like, well done, you know. But otherwise, you know, I just look down on these people. But, you know, even though I still do that, I used to do it significantly more back in the day when I played these games for the first time, and I saw other people cheese shit. But nowadays I'm more so accept for, you know, what people want in games when they play games, generally speaking. Although it would be nice that some people would simply understand when they are filtered out of a game, I guess. Like, if they don't want to understand or learn the baseline difficulty that is required to be able to succeed at the game, then they probably shouldn't play the game. You know, that's my opinion about it, to be honest. But, you know, people play what they like to play, and if they don't feel like they want to be filtered out of a game, they just cheese everything they can. And if that's the way that they want to progress the game, then I guess so. Can't do much about it. Like, I don't use anything other than gourd drinks to beat him, so I had it even harder. But yeah, that's like what I was just saying earlier. Like, you can, like, I can probably make a highlight of this, like, after the stream or something, like tomorrow, and you can just kind of listen to what I said, you know, later again. But that's like the human psychology way of understanding as to why some people just, you know, want different things from a game, and that, you know, changes how they tackle the game, you know. It's their own attitude when they go inside the game, or any game when they play. That is the reason as to why some people cheese some challenges and some people don't. It is really just that simple. I, for myself, for example, if I play a game and I don't feel like the game is like challenging myself, or it's not like demanding my attention. I think that's a good way to put it. If I play a game and I don't feel like it's demanding my attention or demanding my focus from me, if it doesn't demand my attention or focus from me, I get bored. It's simply that simple. So like happens very easily with some other games, like story games, for example. But then again, I insert some of my psychological side nowadays whenever I like, you know, I talk about these games like so much nowadays when I play at the same time. So like whenever I play like a story game, I talk about like the story elements and the narrative points so much that alone keeps me entertained. Just like wanting to understand the game that I play. That keeps me entertained, even if the games like combat or mechanics are not that interesting. But at the same time, something like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a good example of this. It's a turn-based game, and in a turn-based game, if you don't have to think of strategies of how you can combine the different different companion characters' like abilities together to be able to do like optimal damage, or like to be able to overcome challenges by combining different moves after another one very carefully in your head, like if you're playing like you know, chess, for example, you know what the enemy's gonna do and you know what you need to do. You need to like get to a certain point of combined abilities and passive effects, and then you can do insane amount of damage, for example, and beat the challenge in question, for example. And whenever I got to a point in Clair Obscur Expedition 33 where I didn't feel like I had to really think a lot anymore. That's the point when the game became boring to me. It's the exact same thing, but it's just applied to a medium that I usually don't play when I play games, because I'm usually not into turn-based games for this exact reason. Because at least here, regardless of how clunky the game is, regardless of how old the game is, like, I can make games like this much more interesting for me by just... Ever heard the saying of, like, you know, sometimes you have more by having less, you know? Like that saying. So, like, when you have less mechanics at your disposal, you learn to be more creative with what you have, you know? So that applies to, like, Dark Souls 1 very well, for example. So, that's just another tidbit there.